Hello, hello, hello. Hello, all my lovely friends. Welcome, welcome. I'm atypical. I'm sorry. I'm here and I'm alive. And this is Stray Signals. I'm Dr. Asphyxia. And tonight's topic is going to be the Domino Doxa, but I need to post the stream. All right. Oh, wonderful. I have to admit, I'm kind of upset at myself for yesterday, or for Thursday night, because it was a very long discussion, very in-depth about how ideas spread in groups, and that is a very important thing for understanding how exactly Quicksilver can go by as completely unnoticed as he has been, you know, because he's not just simply fighting his capacity as a card, like as a valid card in the game, but also the pretense that he is apparently a bad card, you know, which involves the whole Chavez illusion that we talked about last night, or the previous stream before that. You know, if you're basing that judgment off of the fact that he's reducing your chances of drawing cards, which depends on how exactly you mean by reducing that chance, but since everything kind of gets funneled into the same term, and then oh, all right. But since everything gets funneled into that the same word, draw, right? The probability of drawing a card, all the nuance of that discussion gets lost in the This is retreat. It gets lost in the simplification of everything being reduced down to the word draw, which actually has multiple meanings because there's multiple elements regarding a draw. And so the common usage of draw, so the common usage of hypergeometric math is actually a measurement of the variance of drawing one of multiple cards, not simple geometric math, which just simply measures the probability of an individual event. Of an individual event that's independent of each other. Mikey, what are you doing? Okay. But we have a number of people using the term draw to refer to the probability when the probability doesn't function in that manner. And it's very difficult to explain simply that inference, right? It's hard to explain the concept at play. It's hard to explain the concept at play without a very bold snap there, Michael. This is why I didn't want to play Snap while I was trying to explain this concept. So, starting from the beginning, one of the problems that Quicksilver faces is that he has a very negative public image that isn't deserved on the basis of how card draw mechanics work, and that's the bit about the Chavez illusion. When you are using a hypergeometric model to understand the probability of drawing a specific card, you're using the wrong measurement system for the wrong question that you're asking, right? And you're taking the correct answer from that wrong question, and you're extrapolating information that you don't actually have at hand. And so what you end up with is a presupposition that isn't accurate, right? you are equally likely to draw any given card on any given random draw, but the modeling of hypergeometric math makes it seem like you're more likely to draw it later in the game, and you're less likely to draw something earlier in the game, which is technically true, right? You are more likely to draw something after more draws, but per individual draw, you are more likely to draw a targeted card. It's just that you can't actually target a card. So the greater misconception regarding the shot resolution is that they talk about a spherical Shang-Chi. This is the card that if I draw, I win the game, but that card doesn't exist. Like, there is never, if you're mixing a wider scope, you know, in general, I snap whenever I draw Moondragon on 2, that's phenomenal, that's a good strategy, but trying to base a deck around whether or not you draw Moondragon on 2 is a fallacy on the basis that you're not actually influencing the probability in a meaningful sense. Because you're just as likely to draw Moondragon on turn 3 or on turn 5 as you are to draw it on turn 2. And you can increase the number of draws by not running Quicksilver, but the individual draws themselves are equally likely to be any given card. So trying to force a time frame on a time agnostic scale just simply doesn't function. And you know, you draw other things that you will be needing earlier in the game if you haven't drawn the card that you were targeting. You know, so this is more of a player skill kind of question rather than a mechanical question, right? I wouldn't deny that Doom 2099 is a strong card, but the question of what do I do if I don't draw Doom 2099 depends on the context of the game that I'm playing and the cards that I did draw. And so it's that's how we transition from the Shaw resolution into the Domino Doxa, which is the second pillar, the second concept that needs to be understood in the greater Quicksilver paradox. But tonight's discussion isn't about the math. It's not about probability and all that things. It's about more about the sociology of the impact that content creators have on the way that we perceive things. Because, like, when you look at KM Best or Nina or Alex Kocha or any of the other big name influencers in the Marvel Snap sphere, they all have a impact on the general perception of a card, and things that they say get repeated into the wider zeitgeist of the conversation, but there's no requirement for them or even an expectation for them to be omniscient, to have a pure, perfect understanding of the card in the time frame that they are able to report on it, right? Like, I think KM Best is a phenomenal academic. I think that he's probably the best in the field on YouTube, at least. He's a phenomenal content creator, and he does a very good job of explaining that, you know, he's not reporting on Snap as a whole, he's only reporting from his perspective, and that is limited by nature of, you know, being a human and not having the time to do in-depth research and testing, because the internet moves so much faster than human beings can reasonably create information structures. So this is about how reasonable people repeat things that aren't literally true, even if they that's not very nice. How people or why reasonable people would say things that are I don't know which one's better. Probably gonna go first steps here. Sorry, Moondragon, you missed your chance. So, why reasonable people make poor judgment calls on cards, and also, I don't want to be coming off as as giving permission to negatively to harass anybody or anything along those lines. I don't want to be coming off as giving a excuse or a reason to harass anybody. You know, this isn't a witch hunt on what constitutes Doxa and where and how you can, you know, spam somebody's comments on, like, you know, oh well, that's just Doxa, that's not a reasoned take. You know, that's not the point of this. The point is that give you the tools you need in order to identify when Doxa is being used, so that you can further use your own experiences to identify the so that you can further identify where exactly the reasonability of a claim versus just somebody's individual perspective of it. For the most part, the Marvel Snap community is pretty good about explaining things in a reasonable context, but you know, this is a discussion that we need to have when it comes to things like America Chavez. Like, she was used in so many decks with zero evidence behind her increasing win rates, simply because, you know, the hypergeometric math suggested that she would, but every other metric that you could use to solve to see if she was doing anything similar to that has been proven negative. And because it was proven negative, and the doxa surrounding American Chavez was so strong, she was still one of the highest played cards in, highest run cards in Marvel Snap. She was very rarely played. Just simply Vidicta, right? She was just, you had to put her into your list because, like, everyone would be making that recommendation ad nauseum, and you would have to explain over and over and over again about why you did or didn't feel like she was a worthwhile inclusion. So let's break into the definitions here real quick. Episteme is the idea of, like, fully understanding or knowing something well enough to teach it, right? That you have a conceptual understanding of the mechanisms of what you are talking about to a degree that you can explain it fully. That if somebody comes up to you with a question, that you can reflect it, an appropriate answer regarding the conversation at hand. And then Doxa is a much more loose understanding of the answer, but not necessarily how to get the answer. So, like, you can think of it in terms of like pi, right? You may know that pi is 3.14, but you don't necessarily know how you would go about solving to reach pi, right? So Doxa is just something that you take as a true thing, a belief that you believe is true. You know that it's true, but you don't have any real evidence verifying it, like, on hand. You just understood that this is the way things are. And then episteme is like the actual deep diving into the conversation, right? So, like, if you look at flat earthers, I have never interacted with the shape of the earth. Like, it's never come up in my job. It's never come up in anything that I've ever needed to do. I've never been in a situation where I had to account for the curvature of the earth, but I know that the earth is round. I know that there's a lot of businesses and scientific fields that need to be aware of the curvature of the Earth. They need to be aware of the spherical nature of the Earth, whether it's, my cell phone, anything with satellites, the eclipse. There are a whole bunch of different reasons that there are a whole bunch of ways that it gets used in day-to-day life, but I've never personally have ever used it, right? So a pilot, however, does need to understand the curvature of the Earth. They do need to understand the fact that the Earth is a sphere, right? So a flat earther would look at their lack of knowledge, their Doxa. I have Doxa, the pilot has Epistome, right? So a flat earther would look at the fact that they don't know, and they would say, well, because I don't have the verification behind it, I don't have the science explaining the shape of the Earth to me, how do I know that it's not a flat disk? And when they don't have an answer to that, they come to the conclusion that it must be flat, which is a failure in its own right, but this is still Doxa. And in order to get to a point of episteme, they have to do experimentation to prove that the Earth is flat when it is not. And because of that, all of their experimentations, all of their attempts to prove the Earth is flat is always going to come back negative, right? Because they're trying to develop episteme on a structure that doesn't support the episteme that they're trying to create. And so if you ever need a model of like how argumentation looks when you simply do not have a functioning knowledge set behind it, you can always look at the flat earth movement and just kind of like study the failure in understanding, and just like how often they have to do things like tear people down for being round earthers, like how they have to try to take down established knowledge, and the credibility of the person arguing on behalf of the round earth. They have to do that because they don't have a foundation of episteme to build off of, right? So they don't have actual facts or knowledge of their own philosophy. So they have to tear down the other side and try to, make theirs. You cut the lawn and the mailbox looks taller, right? So like they have to try to trade blows that way, because they literally are incapable of providing evidence or research that proves their position in a positive context. They have to remove and tear down the body of knowledge surrounding the round earth, right? So when we go into a card game like Marvel Snap, the idea of a content creator is kind of new to me. Like I played Magic back in I stopped playing Magic in Time Spiral. I got Darkenstormed and I basically have never played Magic since. When I was in the Navy, I played some pickup games, but I didn't do anything serious. Like, it was before Commander, so like it was always just very casual, very fun Magic. Never like actually keeping up with sets and all that jazz. But like when I was playing Magic, it was a big deal when the Sliver Bros were planning their draft strategy, because it was the first time that Worlds had ever been determined by Two-Headed Giant, I believe, and it was also the first time that it was live streamed, right? So like content creators in Magic at the time did not exist, and most of the paper games that I played didn't have, big content creators. They basically only had the closest I ever had was people talking about Dungeons and Dragons and like how to be a better DM and all that jazz. But I never really had to deal with Doxa in that environment, because like I could always, like with my Rakdos control deck, I could always just simply shuffle up and play. I could shuffle up and play a game and demonstrate like how I can maintain enough counterspells with very few lands to keep Rakdos the Defiler on the board. It's a whole thing. Anyway, and like at the hobby shop, that would garner respect, and then those people would go to their game stores and they would say, okay, I have played against this, how do I work against it, how do I strategize around this. And with Marvel Snap, it's very different, where the bigger the streamer or content creator is regarding their their fan base and their following, they can say things and have a pretty enormous impact on the meta. So content creators are encouraged to use Doxa because, like I said, the speed of the internet just doesn't allow them to speak at a slower clip. It's perfect. It doesn't allow them to not move as quickly as humanly possible. Because that's pretty good. Because if I take a month off to study how Moondragon is going to impact the future of Marvel Snap, by the time that I'm done with my study, with my research, Iska is no longer, or I'm sorry, Moondragon is no longer a valid card, right? Need to rethink this real quick. Perfect. Alrighty. That was a good game. So like the taking a huge amount of time to fully dive in and get into the nitty-gritty, the grit of the research that you need to do in order to come to a conclusion that's not necessarily a conclusion that you want to come to, right? It's just similar to the flat earthers. They don't have episteme because they are trying to prove something that is most likely not true as a true concept. And so if you came to the conclusion that Moondragon is actually a bad card, that she is not worth the effort, you know, on a grand scheme of things, and you have the full slate of research behind you, all the people that were waiting for you to tell them to go ahead and buy the card have already moved on to the person who has completed you know, a dozen videos saying that Moondragon is awesome, right? And that was just simply from their play experience, which isn't quite episteme yet, because, you know, you haven't gone through and done extensive research and testing to find out, you know, all the little nooks and crannies about Moondragon in that particular case. So A, there's time constraint limits. There's B, audience retention. Like, how entertained would you be if I simply I don't know, spent a week talking about how Quicksilver is actually a pretty good card, I guess. And the need for clarity over precision. So, like, you know, if you get a message that a card is good or bad, it's a lot easier to understand that with a short series of videos than it is to, you know, go in depth to prove it one way or another. All right, sorry. I had to focus there for a second. So the trade-off is accuracy versus, understandability. Like the fewer trade-offs there are for you to comprehend the topic being discussed, the more nuanced and the more in-depth that you have an understanding of it, the harder it is to convey that accurately in a short enough time span to retain audiences, to fully explain everything involved within it, and it's also not really conducive to an entertainment structure, right? Like, there are plenty of people who enjoy learning. I am one of them. I enjoy going into the nitty-gritty and getting in depth with conversations regarding philosophy and the scientific method and things along those lines. But it's just not real. Like, when you're dealing with Doxa, all you need to do is, state what your beliefs are, confidently in a simple way with some narrative clarity. I played 200 games with Moondragon and I think she's awesome, right? And you're not awarded for saying things like she's only good in Doom 2099 decks because of X, Y, Z, and having to go into the conditional branches of like how exactly she functions and why she functions really well in this deck but not in that deck. And even if it would be more technically correct, and I'm not saying that Moondragon is a bad card or anything, I don't have enough time and experience with her to know. I enjoy her, but I've been playing a lot of Doom 29 lately, so but my point is that when it gets into the technical correctness, you're not necessarily leaning into what your audience wants to hear, and you're not really leaning into and it's not necessarily invocative for a format that moves as quickly as the internet does. I take it you are... No? Oh, yeah. Alright. I do have Sandman. Yeah, but I think I'm being outpaced. Yep. Good job, Evan. Somebody loves you. I'm sure of it. So, basically the content creator system leans into Doxa more than it does leans into Doxa without it isn't tech for Doxa. It's just simply incidentally, through the way that the internet and communication on the internet works, it is more beneficial to just simply go with your gut and express something. Oh, this is a pretty good hand. turn 4. 8. Got 10. I've been seeing a lot of Domino lately. I might want to try tucking in armor. Yeah, so, we got this. Perfect. Just look uptown. Nerdy by nature. I like the avatar. Oh, yeah. See what we're dealing with here. End of turn. Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to kick down your sandcastle. Ay. After this, I'll go into a more full in-depth on like how exactly Doxa was conceptualized and all that jazz. Don't you do it. No. See here. They've spent 4 energy. I've spent 4 energy. I'm at -2. They're at 2. All right. So, Doxa and Episteme was initially created by Plato, who is a famous Greek philosopher. And basically, a complex idea exists. Like it is real, it is tangible, it is a thing in the universe before it's ever comprehended by anybody else, right? People start examining it, they start getting their perspectives on how exactly it is working and functioning. They share those ideas between one another, and in those in that sharing, it is a doxa formation, right? They share their little snippets and ideas. I believe in epistemology he used a spring and where the water is coming from, and people going to the source of the spring and saying, well, the water has to be coming from somewhere, and everybody just kind of examining and figuring out where exactly the the water is coming from, out of curiosity. Someone tries to simplify it down, and the simplified idea is easier to spread around, because like that is the purpose of it, right? Is that when you have multiple people researching the same topic of like where the spring is originating from, the person with the simplest, fastest idea can spread it to more people more easily than the people who are doing the hard research. And so the simplification works enough for the usage of most people, that a onion, a spring spirit, right, is creating this spring that this water is coming from. And it's a simplified enough idea that like that can't be disproven directly, so enough people start identifying that this is created by a spring spirit, until finally somebody says, okay, so there's water that gets trapped underneath the rock, and the pressure of the weight of the rock pushing down on the reservoir pushes the water up out of the surface, and it refills with rainwater through the siphoning action of the rain coming down. And then the idea is that the episteme takes over the doxa, and the doxa is only used in the absence of a full in-depth understanding, because most people don't actually need to know where the spring water comes from. Does that make sense? Like, it's not important for the common person to know where the spring water comes from, but once you have a full epistemological understanding of the object being observed, right? The spring would be the object, the researchers would be the subjects. So the most common telltale sign of doxa is that it's opinionated in its nature, right? Because like if you had a full understanding of the conversation at hand, you wouldn't need if you had a full understanding of the conversation at hand, you wouldn't need to be giving the object traits. So objective traits are traits that the object has and gives to the subject observing it, and then subjective traits are traits that the subject is giving the object. So if you're dealing with something that's doxa, you're probably dealing with something subjective in its nature. So things like this card is good, this card is bad. Like those are very simple things to communicate to one another, even though there's no actual basis for it. You can't prove something is subjective with an objective trait and vice versa. This is Hume's law that was much later on in human development. I feel like I'm getting off topic. I'm sorry. I got excited talking about the fundamentals of science, and I started babbling. I'm sorry. I just need a second. I'm gonna let the music tick on for a little bit while I take a breather. I'm gonna mute my microphone, but I will turn it back on before I start speaking again. I will check and double check this time. No. All right.
Practicing hello there to the mirror, empty hands. I keep rewinding all my words before I ever speak them, like a playlist never heard. I just sit here and skip them. I'm a strange little signal in a loud, loud room, fading in and out, but I'm still true. If I shake when I speak, that's a part of my tune. I'm learning how to love this too. I'm not broken, just different in the way I bloom, soft and sideways out of you. I'm a strange little signal in a loud, loud room, and I'm tuning into me, not you. Cat hair on the bed sheets, purring like a drum. Only one who never minds when I forget where I'm from. Radio in low light, voices in a row, talking like it's easy, guess they'll never know. Every question feels like math I can't do in my head, but I still show up to class just to sit there seeing red. I'm a strange little signal in a loud, loud room, fading in and out, but I'm still true. If I shake when I speak, that's a part of my tune. I'm learning how to love this too. I'm not broken, just different in the way I bloom, soft and sideways out of you. I'm a strange little signal in a loud, loud room, and I'm tuning into me, not you. Past the hurt, past the shame, the quiet. Say my name. Every fall like a soft tide stray. I call it home and I let it stay. I'm a strange little signal in a loud, loud room, fading in and out, but I'm still true. If I shake when I speak, that's a part of my tune. I'm learning how to love this too. I'm not broken, just different in the way I bloom, awkward, honest, coming through. I'm a strange little signal in a loud, loud room, and I'm finally tuning into you, into you, my quiet
I'm sorry. So, a little peek behind the camera. When I start getting worked up, and I feel like I'm blabbering, it's one thing when it's online and I can just type out and type out and type out and type out, 7, 9, 12 posts long chains on, a topic that interests me, because then I know, like, if someone isn't interested in reading it, they can just ignore it, But when I feel like doing that in person, I don't know, it makes me feel very awkward. It makes me feel very seen. And I'm not trying to be annoying. I'm not trying to be I know I'm not normal. But, I'm just trying. I don't like being seen, but at the same time, I feel like I need to be heard. And I want to make sure that it's very clear that, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You have the right to observe something and to express your perspective of it. Even if you are a little weird, even if you are atypical. And it's okay to do that respectfully, to, not you shouldn't be saying something in an angry context to another user, another player in the base, because that negatively affects how, like, pretty much everything, right? It affects how you perceive them. It affects how they perceive themselves. It affects everything. It affects, the entire social system at play. And I'm not trying to be offensive. And I know a lot of people get offended when you disagree with them, and that is a part of Doxa, right? It's like, if you have to change, if you have your opinions challenged, like through the flat earther example, right? When a flat earther tries to tell you that the earth is actually flat, and you've known your entire life that the earth is round, even if you don't have the underlying episteme behind that knowledge, challenging that underlying doxa, that belief, gets really hard for you to do on a regular basis. And not using particularly clear language when you're talking about something like gaming, where it is so skill intensive, it really benefits from learning episteme as tightly and as closely as you possibly can. Being able to recognize when someone is discussing their personal perspective of something, whether it's a game mode or a value of like a collection system, or value in a collection system, or anything of that nature, right? It's it benefits you as an individual to know the difference, to understand where the information is coming from, so that you know when to question it, when to doubt it, when to say this is not actually working. The theory behind it is not functioning as a fact. And in a content creator's perspective, they are encouraged not to verify their conclusions, right? It would look bad for Safety Blade to say that Cosmic Ghost Rider is the absolute worst card for the meta and it needs to be nerfed immediately, and then like a week later it turns out that Cosmic Ghost Rider has a negative win rate, right? That would look bad on Safety, so Safety needs to make as clean and as clear of a distinction of how a card functions and what its value is as quickly as he possibly can, as fast as they possibly can. I'm not really sure if it's a whole thing. I don't know their gender. It would be so Safety needs to make clean, clear, concise assessments as quickly as they can, with as minimal information, as minimal input as possible, so that they can continue to push out more and more content as quickly as possible. And the more accurately that they can emit doxa that complies with everyone else's view, the more successful that it's going to be, right? More people will agree with them, and it will be cited by other content creators when they're making their assessments. I, for one, am a very big follower of KM Best. I watch a lot of his content, and I enjoy his perspective. And KM talks about this frequently, where he says that if he says something on a card that, like, people take it as very literal, and he wants you to understand that he's just sharing his perspective, that it is not a 100% guarantee, because he has a very limited scope of understanding of the game. And just simply coming from the top 1,000 perspective, right? Like, even top 100, like, he's up there in the ladder, so he deals with a very different metagame than the majority of players do. But when it comes to understanding the system and the function of the game as a whole, he is very in tune, and he explains things very cleanly and very clearly that I really appreciate. But, again, he's still in that same Doxa environment. The system still supports taking broad claims with minimal context and expressing it as vividly as humanly possible. And that context gets spread very quickly throughout the rest of the community. And so you end up in situations where people will just simply forget that a card exists. Like, when was the last time you heard someone playing Sandman, right? I last season, it was a godsend, because it was the perfect answer to Xiaolao. But this season, it seems to be working significantly less, and I'm beginning to think that I should probably try to switch in a zombie package. But I'm not 100% sure of that. That's not the point. The point that I'm getting at is that it's very easy to overlook things that can seem very basic and simple. And then when confronted with it, you have to take a very firm stance with your opinion, because it's invocative of your clout, and your clout is pretty much the only thing you have to verify anything you have to say, right? KM Best would not be nearly as significant of a scholar if he wasn't at the top of the ladder, right? Like, at that point, who is he? Like, why does it matter what he thinks? But I want you to understand that you and your opinion is important. Your observations are valid. And what's going to override anyone's doxa is going to be your personal research into your perspective, right? There were multiple years where Safety Blade would try to tell me that Quicksilver was a bad card, and because I am very diligent with how I research things, I'm very diligent with my testing methodology, I happened to be in the correct position to make this observation that Quicksilver had an incredibly high win rate differential despite seeming to have no reason why he should. I was able to invoke and go on a journey in researching Quicksilver's unusual behavior of just winning games Vidicta, right? Incidentally, I happen to be a robot technician who happened to have the skill set to research a win rate differential, and I incidentally had the a reason to play Quicksilver when I was trying to run a Sentry only season, and I needed a 1-drop card specifically that could go in the right lane and be picked up by Falcon. And incidentally, I had a number of circumstantial evidence that led me to a pretty wild conclusion. And I had the skill set to look at that initial evidence and say, okay, there is a spring here. Where is this water coming from? What I don't have the skill set for is dealing with the social environment. That is not something that I'm very comfortable with. That is not something that I'm particularly well suited for dealing with. But when safety would try to insist that I was incorrect, that Quicksilver was a bad card, I was able to take any proclamation of Quicksilver being bad, and I was able to, hard stop it. I was able to hard counter it because I had the skill set in hand to know what counters what, right? So, were these bot games? Yes, but they shouldn't have, were bot games involved? Of course. I don't have the time to play 700 games of Marvel Snap a week like many content creators, so yes, bots were involved. But if Quicksilver wasn't producing this win rate differential, then Quicksilver should have performed worse than a control with American Chavez, or I was using Rescue initially, but then I moved on to Polaris as a 0 win rate differential card. If it wasn't Quicksilver that was causing that win rate change, then it should have been seen in Chavez, and it should have been seen in Rescue as well, but that never was. Quicksilver's the only one that has that 4% win rate differential. And when he tried to tell me that I wasn't going to be drawing cards, I showed him how frequently that was irrelevant. I showed them, I try to be very respectful if but regardless, whatever criticism was thrown out the way, I always had a answer at hand to refute the presumption being thrown out, because safety only has Doxa to work off of. He only has the concept in a vague subjective format, because safety has never personally tested Quicksilver's win rate. He's never tested Quicksilver's capacity as a card. So because I did have the evidence behind me, I did have the objective observations and testing and evidence behind me, I always had an answer, even if they didn't accept that answer, right? And that's kind of where like the toxicity of the internet kind of gets messy with this, and why I want to stress so much that you have the right to your opinion. You have the right to have the understanding that you have. You don't have the right to your own facts, but you know, just understand that somebody loves you, you know, and I'm sure of it. Yeah, I'm just gonna play some Marvel Snap. This is always going to be a hard topic for me, because I don't really understand a lot of the social aspects of this. I do think that it's really fascinating just how much vitriol people put towards Quicksilver with evidence that they don't know how to verify. And in the next episode, I'm going to be talking about the Quicksilver edge, why Quicksilver wins the games that he does. Is this a techno-organic virus check? Because if so, I think I do it better. Sure looks like it. Good play. Good play. Oy vey. So currently I'm outpacing them, but that could very easily change. Okay. I hope you guys are enjoying the music. I think Marvel Knight can win this lane with Null, but I don't think he can win the other two.
Coffee gone cold on my desk. Blue cursor blinking like it's stressed. Neighbors talk loud through the wall. I rehearse hello and say nothing at all. Cat on my lap like a shield. Static from the speaker, soft and real. Scroll through a party I'm not in. Type maybe next time, then erase it again. I'm tuned a little sideways, not the station they expect. But I'm learning how to like every flicker, every speck. When my thoughts get loud and tangled in the room, feeling
Ah, GG.
Tuned a little sideways, not the station they expect. But I'm learning how to like every flicker, every speck. And my thoughts get loud and tangled, and the room feels way too bright. I hold my strange sleep. I'm loving this lost frequency that's quietly stubbornly me.
Hello, Moonabelle. That's a very pretty avatar. I love Iska. Ay, vey. I shouldn't have stayed in that one. So of 6 turns, I have 4 of them covered. So I have a fairly good chance of getting I have 5 of them covered. I'm gonna snap. It's very unlikely that my opponent is going to be able to keep pace with my energy saturation. I just need to draw a 5-drop. Ah. Oh, this sounds like a good Iska game. Trying to get the Arnhem Shake on me, huh? The Arnhem Shake is fun. I have 5 out of 6 turns lined up. I'm gonna snap. It's good, I needed those Quicksilver boosters. Ah. Good job, Peggy. Crystal. Yeah. Ah, so you're a student of Pam Best, I see. 60-10. That was a nifty trick. We're just grooving. Somebody loves C-Tip, I'm sure of it. That's the second person I've seen playing Arnhem Shake. If you're gonna Arnhem Shake, you're a little late. Doom, you got all this real estate right here. I need you to put a Doombot right next to you, okay, buddy? Give you some squishes for good luck. Ah. Yeah. SDJR. No, Moon Dragon. Up my stupidity, you hurt my Moon Dragon. How could you? I think I'm going to stream for another half hour. Kampachi. Hey, we're grooving. Uh-oh. I think we're dealing with a Wiccan gamer. Did you draw 3? You did draw 3. Oh no, you draw 2. Trying some toxic shenanigans here. Oh, I'm game. Let's play. Sounds like chamber, yeah. Alright. Start it back up from the beginning. No, I'm retreating. interesting. Oh my good goodness. Wait. Oh, I'm a goofer. That's what that was. Oh my good goodness. Dazzler? No. No Dazzler. Oh, perfect. Student of KM Best. Rockstar Salamander, somebody loves you. I just want to let you know. I'm sure of it. Nine minutes, so this is probably going to be one of the last games, or probably the second to last. like a good emoter. Yeah, you're pretty cool, Poodle. See how big this gets. 29! Wow! That was awesome. Thank you for not snapping. Okay, I have 2 minutes. I'm making an excuse. I can't end on a losing game. Alright, one more game. And then I will tell all you liches that somebody loves you, and I'm sure of it. Moondragon? Moondragon? Good job, Jello. Okay, now I'm back down to 93, and I've made 0 progress. I think it's time to call it a night. So, once again, just want to let everybody know that somebody loves you. I'm sure of it. That phrase comes from working at advertising agency. I had a client who was a Christian dating app. I don't know what their, if it's okay if I tell you their name or whatever, but they, I was a copywriter, so like I would take the details of their business and I'd write ad copy for like podcasts and stuff like that. So, you know, if you're a content creator and you've ever done an ad spot, you've gotten ad copy before, and you know somebody has to write that stuff, right? And that was my job. And in their description of like what they wanted for the ad space, they were like, we want to give the impression that somebody loves them and we're sure of it, and we're going to find that person for them. And I just thought that the phrase "and somebody loves you, I'm sure of it" was just such beautiful poetry. And I think that it's an expression that should be said more often. And the client hated it. They were like, well, "What are we hiring a agency if you're just gonna copy what we wrote down?" And so I asked their agent if they didn't like that. Like, is it okay if I start using it? And it was like, yeah, sure, it's no problem. It's not copyrighted or anything. It wasn't intended to be a slogan. So I adopted it for myself. And I just want to let you know that somebody loves you. I'm sure of it. Everyone deserves love. Everyone deserves to be cared for and to feel cared for. So, be kind to each other, liches. I love you.